We are learning more about what the future of abortion may look like in Indiana. The state has kept abortion legal since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade last month. But today, lawmakers rolled out a very restrictive bill that would drastically change that. CBS 2's Chris Ty is live at Planned Parenthood of Illinois, which continues to take on patients as more states ban abortion. Chris?
Jim, for as conservative as Indiana is, they did not have on the books one of those so-called trigger laws, which would have made abortion illegal the moment Roe was overturned. But now we are learning they may soon have one of the most restrictive abortion laws in the country that would ban most abortion at the moment a fetus is implanted in a uterus. That is, if a bill proposed today becomes law. 10 miles from the Indiana border sits Planned Parenthood of Flossmoor, built for its proximity to the state line and in preparation for today.
This is limiting abortions to the instance of the life of the mother, rape, and incest.
Members of the Republican-controlled Indiana Senate rolling out a bill that would dramatically tighten that state's abortion laws, banning abortions at the time of implantation, defined in Indiana as when the fetus implants in the uterus. There are exceptions if the life of the mother is at risk and in cases of rape and incest, and if that is utilized, an affidavit is required for proof in Indiana.
What we're looking at is basically a total abortion ban after implantation in the uterus. That is one of the most extreme provisions in the country, right up there with Texas.
Lawmakers adding this doesn't restrict the morning after pill or other birth control, does not impact miscarriages or IVF procedures, does not criminalize women seeking abortions, and there are no new penalties for doctors performing abortion.
I would say it's quite likely to pass. I believe they took the temperature of other members before drawing up something this restrictive.
Earlier this month, Planned Parenthood of Illinois announced a partnership with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin to help offer care and transportation to women in that state. After Roe fell, abortion became a felony in Wisconsin under a law that dates back over 150 years. Planned Parenthood of Illinois expects a similar arrangement to help Indiana women too, which would likely certify Indiana medical and nursing staff in Illinois to help with the spike in demand here. Before the year is up, Planned Parenthood expects 30,000 more women to come to Illinois for abortions. That would be an 80% jump from a typical year in Illinois. Why didn't Indiana have those trigger laws on the books to begin with? Insiders say they were concerned of economic blowback, companies not wanting to do business in Indiana because of that law. So where do things stand with this bill? The Senate in Indiana will begin debating this restrictive bill on Monday. It then would move to the state House. It could be, if fast-tracked, law by the fall. And of course, we'll keep tabs on that. For now, live in Old Town, Chris Ty, CBS 2 News.